who our guest is today, which is Workforce Development Board. We have a few folks who are joining us. One of our main speakers is Brian, who you can see on the screen. Oh, no? Okay.
No, April.
April. Okay, April. Sorry. Brian's been very supportive.
He's helping us.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm helpful, but April this is her team's project, so she's the foremost authority on it and can really give everybody the best information.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Well, Brian has been instrumental in helping us coordinate today's session, so thank you so much for helping us bring this to our community. April will be the one who is going to kind of guide us in conversation today and highlight a couple of things. Today's topic is the COVID-19 Layoff Aversion Grant Fund for Solano small businesses. We have a couple of small businesses I can already recognize in our chat. So folks who are just joining us, feel free to introduce yourselves by unmuting or by simply placing your name in the chat window and telling us who you are.
I'm so upset about it.
Are you in? I'm in.
All right, so what I'm going to do is, if you can forward to the next slide, we're going to go over a couple of just an overview of today, which is just to orient those who are newer to Zoom, you can, one of the things that we do ask is that you that you mute yourselves while you're not speaking so that everybody else can hear the speaker. And we do encourage everyone to use their video so that we can connect virtually, but you're not required to. This is a space that we just welcome that to be able to connect. When we're providing this in the feed, only those who are sharing their screen actually do show up. So we do want to encourage those who might not, who would like to actually be able to speak and show their face to do so as well. If you can move on to the next slide, Leo. Once again, we encourage everyone to introduce yourselves, and I guess we have introductions happening in chat for those who are joining us through Facebook. I know you cannot see the chat window, so I'll read some of those now. We have Brian, who is on the call. He's waving there, and he is External Affairs Manager with the Workforce Development Board of Solano County. So thank you, Brian. If anybody else wants to use the chat window to introduce yourselves, feel free to do so. We encourage the chat window for questions, as well as the Facebook comment feature for those joining us through Facebook. Anybody want to unmute themselves to introduce who you are?
Right. My name is April Ziomic Portillo with the Workforce Development Board. I'm the Business Services Manager here, so I'll be speaking today upon the LAW grant today.
Thank you, April.
Carol, I think you were going to say something, Carol. Or you unmuted, Ellie? No? Okay.
All right, well, going to go ahead and continue on then to the next slide. Just to provide a couple of reminders of our virtual meeting norms. One of the things that, once again, we encourage everyone to stay on mute unless you're speaking or have a question that you want to place out loud. We encourage the chat window. As a reminder, this meeting will be recorded so that we can share with viewers post-stream as well. And as just a reminder, we encourage everyone to use their video feature when possible. Can you move us to the next slide, Leo? And then a couple of virtual meeting norms is we encourage you to stay engaged throughout this conversation. This is a community chat. We encourage people to ask questions and just stay engaged, be kind and brave. There's no question that even if we can answer here, we will look for the resources for you. We look for embracing new learning and to expect and accept non-closure. And what that means for us is that we may not have everything wrapped up by the end of today, but we will follow up with additional resources that might support those who didn't have a question answered today. Okay. All right. So with that, if you can continue on to the next one, I think that's it from us. What we'd like to do is go ahead and hand over our virtual mic to April from the Workforce Development Board to help guide our conversation today.
Alrighty, so definitely LOAF has been an exciting grant opportunity that we've been able to put out to small businesses. So far, we've had such a huge frenzy of people putting in applications. So we've had the opportunity to start the funding already on some of this grant money that we've received. So far, we've funded 21 applications in the total of 80,000, and it's saved 91 jobs so far in Solano County alone. So it's been kind of a cool opportunity to do that and look at other ways for us to help small business. The nice thing is it's a grant, so it's not a loan, which I know that tends to be what's going on right now. But one of the things I wanted to go through today, as you see some of the bullets there, is the eligibility, the use of the funds, some of the grant requirements, and how to apply. There's definitely, I'll give you guys some tips as well, because there's been some kind of patterns of folks turning in applications, and unfortunately we've had to deny them because of them not actually kind of reading the web page that has all the pieces described that allows you to actually fund what we can fund for and what we can't. So actually, if we can we pull up, I see that you have the link there. For me, if we just pull up the Solano County webpage for the version, the grant fund itself, I can kind of talk through those pieces with you guys.
Is it this one, April?
Yeah, that's perfect. Actually,
Okay.
can you go up a little bit? I don't know if I can scroll a little more. Okay, yep, there we go. We can start there. So what we decided originally was to fund, we had 60,000 set aside from our WIOA funds that we were able to kind of repurpose it from our traditional ways that we do rapid response, which for us is when people start laying off employees, we can go out and kind of help the business get these people re-employed with some of our services that we offer here at the Workforce Development Board. So being the fact that pretty much everybody was shutting their doors because of the COVID, we needed to kind of repurpose it in a way. So we decided to, be able to put this out to small business to say, can you reinvent what you're currently doing in this COVID world of, social distancing, being able to keep your business alive. So part of this really is about allowing businesses to kind of think outside the box and kind of repurpose the way that they do their business. So some of the eligibility pieces of this is that you do need to be located in Solano County. So it's a business within Solano County itself. You need to be 500 employees or less. You do need to be up to date with your UI, like taxes, insurances, and your good standing with the state of California. And then the other thing is that you can demonstrate the need for the layoff aversion support due to the impact of the COVID-19. So you do need to have some type of issue from the COVID-19 of why you've had to shut your doors or lay people off or shorten hours, those kind of things with that. So probably one of the biggest things is the use of the funds itself. I think this is the part where I kind of get things all over the place with the applications. So it's kind of important that people really, really read this area and look at the specific bullet points on here and what are some of the things that we can actually help you purchase or reimburse you back basically for the items. There are some very specific things that we can't do for this. And so basically, the first bullet there is purchasing remote access equipment or software that allows employees to work from home rather than be laid off. So some of the things that we've been getting are, people need new laptops or the equipments, the headphone equipment that have speakers, the cameras that have speakers, those kind of things like that. So you can actually effectively do remoting from sometimes people's homes or other areas. Other things, we've also had people ask to purchase new cell phones. So we've been able to help with those pieces as well, just in case if, you've got folks that are now starting to telework and they don't have that access with a cell phone. We can also help with those pieces. So kind of that whole idea of teleworking itself. So any kind of hardware, it can also be software. Some people we've helped with like the Zoom type professional level softwares, and there's people have other ones that they use as well. Some of the other things that we've done a lot for is paying for services or tools that restaurants can use for their retail establishments. So we've had folks looking for newer POS systems that could actually help them generate business as well as handle the business coming through on an online portal. There's been definitely a lot of that going on right now. So people being able to handle those orders coming in effectively has been kind of a huge kind of push with that. Other things for tools specifically for restaurants that I've also noticed is the plexiglass piece. So people who are purchasing plexiglass to kind of put on their register areas or their areas to where they may be serving food passing through kind of piece. So you'll see that. I think a lot of people have probably seen that on the fast food restaurants and the drive-throughs. You're kind of seeing the plexiglass pieces. So we definitely have seen a push for that end of it with that. Also too, restaurants might also have like your PPE equipment, so things like that that could help you sanitize or keep things clean. Also helping with like wipes and sanitizers and different things like that. We can definitely help you with that. And that's not just restaurant, it could be any business at that point with it. But we've had lots and lots and lots of applications come in with some wonderful strategies that people are using to try to reinvent their business. We've even had so much as a couple Taekwondo studios that we've helped pay for some video equipment so they can actually do their classes online. We've even had a dance studio as well that has done that. I thought that was pretty cool to see them actually being able to put video equipment up and actually hold their classes for their students. So there's definitely, it's not limited just to a restaurant or teleworking. We definitely had folks in different areas of business looking for options to stay open. One of the cool ones that we had was we had a brewery that was actually wanting to sell their beer. They were a tap house and very small one, and they do not have to-go options for their beer, so it's all on tap. So one of the things that they were requesting is for them to help them buy one of the canning machines so that they can can the items and actually sell them. So that was a really cool kind of way that you'll see people looking at options to stay open. So definitely we're looking for those type of strategies to save jobs. So that's the huge premise of this, is to save jobs. I think when folks kind of start writing their layoff aversion plans through the application itself, people kind of get a little bit like you're selling your business, you're selling your business plan. And it's really not that. It's really about how are you going to save the jobs? How many people are you saving within? This grant itself is not really geared towards you actually hiring more people. It's more about how you're going to save the people internally in your job. And it could actually be sole proprietors as well. We've had a handful of them. So it's not about the number of jobs you've saved either. So I know some people get concerned with that. It's really about, you know, how your plan is going to, you know, reinvent you or your business so that you can stay alive and afloat is really what it's about. So the next subject here really is on here is the funds that we can't pay for. This tends to be kind of a piece where we have to kind of revert people to kind of rewrite their plans and things. So definitely some tips here to watch out for. We are not PPP, so we will not pay for any kind of wages whatsoever. So any kind of wages, insurances, utilities, we don't even pay for like Comcast, like if you need internet services, things like that, those kind of things are not part of this at all. So you need to keep those things out because it will, what that will end up doing is me having to basically deny the application and have you rewrite your plan to take that out. And so that could cause a little bit of a delay. And the funding has been coming kind of in spurts. So it's kind of going in different, little chunks here and there. So it could cause a delay in whether or not we were able to look at your application or not. So you definitely want to be really, really careful with that. The other thing that's another important piece of this, because we're Department of Labor and also funded through state kind of pieces, we have a whole procurement process that we have to go to with as well, especially if you're buying equipment that's over $5,000 in one shot. There's a whole procurement process because it has to be done. So that can also kind of slow that purchase down. We definitely are not denying people because they have equipment that's more than 5,000, but it's really about looking, being able to look at like 3 different quotes, and that we're giving everybody a fair chance, that you're looking at the quotes and why you're purchasing this one. And so it's really about just keeping that even keeled piece. So that's sometimes a little different. I know a couple businesses have equipment that's been over 5,000. So it's been interesting in conversations with them to kind of make them understand that piece of it. Because normally it's like, what, I just want that, and I'm going to swipe the card, get it, and bring it in. So it does have to kind of slow down a bit with that piece of it. So the grant requirements, I'll just move into that piece of it. So in the grant itself, so let's say you do get awarded the grant, there is definitely an agreement or / contract, however you want to call it, that you will go through with us. There's some specific pieces in there where this is not, so let's say you get awarded, $2,500, and we say, okay, go ahead, we're going to write this agreement, we sign it, and you move on, and you start making, you're waiting for a check. And unfortunately, that's not the way this one rolls. You will make your purchases and we will reimburse you back. So you have to keep your receipts, bring them to us, and then we will process the invoices as soon as we get the receipts. What's really nice about what we really wanted to make sure is that we try to make this a little more flexible when it comes to that. So you can actually, let's say you made your first purchase, you can get us the receipt and we can do an invoice and start the process of reimbursing you quicker instead of waiting for the end kind of thing. So that's kind of helpful to try to get that in. We're also processing a lot of the invoices in-house. Instead of generally we push it through our county process, which can take weeks. So we're able to kind of shave off a couple weeks on that by doing that. So some of our first funders that we funded out, they're starting to turn in receipts now. So we're starting to get that process rolling and getting it going. So it should only take about a week, maybe 2 weeks if worst case scenario, to try to get it. But it's just a matter of timing and getting that stuff processed. A lot of the pieces is just the way people, when they fill out the invoices or the way that they're spending the money, you definitely want to, stay in your budget, purchase the items that we said that you were okay. You definitely don't want to go rogue and do something else because that could cause some hiccups with some of that. So we definitely need to kind of keep in that budget realm with that. But that part of it is really nice. Now, the one thing with grants, generally, there is some paperwork that goes with it. And this one in particular, we try to keep it as small as possible, but there is a final report that we are asking businesses when the end of their grant is done, that they kind of give us some outcomes and things that they had, some of their numbers, maybe how many jobs they saved. Were there any other outcomes that happened because you were able to, add this extra equipment in or telework this person in? So we're kind of looking for those type of outcomes. And the reason that's so important to us is that, with our state requirements and federal requirements, they're very interested in what those outcomes are and, and how we save jobs. And then ultimately this could be something that could turn into something down the road even more that we could offer instead of just during the COVID time. So those numbers and data is really important to us to have those pieces. Basically how to apply, it's really simple. You basically on the website here, you'll see the applications kind of in blue. You'll just click onto that and it opens up the application. Some folks have, the one thing I will say is we've had a couple people actually handwrite them and then take a picture with their cell phone and send them to us. And that's a little hard for us to see the details. So if you can, either if you're good with Adobe, download it from a PDF to a Word that way, type out the information and send it back to us, or whatever applications you have, but to actually send it through an email attachment is the easiest for us, so that way we can make sure that we don't miss out on anything as well. Leo, is it possible that you can open up the application? Because I do want to show folks an area on there that it's another tip, if you are going to fill this out, that it's important that you don't miss this information. So if you go down, Leo, if you can scroll that down a little bit to where it says California tax number. You can stop there. Okay, so there's two. Most people are very familiar with the FEIN, which is your federal, and they're very, most people know those by the back of their hand. It's where we get into a little waters here is with the California state tax ID. So there's a couple things, depending on the legal structure of your business and whether or not you have payroll, those numbers will look a little different. So they could be one of two things really. If you have a payroll of some sort, you're going to have what's called an EDD, an EDD account number, which essentially is your California tax number. And that's the number I need there. It's generally an 8-digit number, and we definitely need that. I would probably say 80% of the applications that come in do not have that number. So we really need to get it, and we will ask for it. If you are a sole proprietor and you just use your social, then you would put your social there. So that it's one or the other with folks. So I really wanted to point that area out. And so that has been probably one of the biggest ones that'll kind of slow things down if we don't have those numbers put in those spots. So it's very specific. The other thing too that I will say is if you're going to fill out an application, especially a grant application, take your time. Read every line. There is a purpose for each box that's on this application, so you want to fill it out correctly. Or it's going to just cause either the application not to be approved because it's missing information, so it doesn't help us understand what your plan is, or we'll be asking for it, so it could cause the agreement or the funding of the application to be delayed a little bit if we don't have that information. Leo, if you can scroll down a little bit more, what I'll do is, I believe it says number 2, the layoff aversion plan. Go down a little more, right there, section 2. So right here this is like the most important part of the application, besides, I mean, the top is as well, but this part here is where we struggle a lot with folks. Generally in this area, one, you're going to put the amount of funding that you're requesting, and then your anticipated number of jobs saved. So you kind of want to think about that with your plan. On the next line box there, it is talking about the description. So this is what I was talking about you talking about what your layoff aversion plan is and how you're going to save your jobs. So you want to be, pretty specific about how you're saving jobs within your business itself. We need this pretty clear. We've actually had to tell people to resubmit applications because this part was a little either lacking or it was things that we weren't able to do. So this is where you kind of have to develop some strategy that you place in this box here that explains to us, what your plan is to save the jobs. Now the section 3 on here, which is your budget category. The thing is since we've gone through some of these applications, I will say another tip is to really research the amount of money it's going to take to actually execute your plan. There have been a lot of businesses that have kind of shortchanged themselves a little bit, but the situation is once the application is approved, that's the amount. So you either have to stay within that budget, or if you do go over, that's your responsibility. So I would say definitely take a moment to look through however you shop, whether it's on Amazon or if it's on eBay or on different websites, you definitely want to walk through this and, and you just estimate. You don't have to be it down to the penny. It does need to be an estimation though with that. And this budget category is actually where you'll then budget out all the equipment that we talked about on the website itself, all the bullet points of whether it's hardware or software or any PPE equipment. You would actually list all those kind of pieces there and then the total costs. So it's not an extremely difficult application. It's actually pretty easy. If you've ever written a grant or tried to apply for a grant, they're pretty detailed. So we thought that this one was pretty easy to do. So if you do have questions, you're definitely able to reach out with me. It is on the website to email me the application, but you can always email me questions. I have had that come through and be able to talk people through the application process a little bit. However, I can't write the plans for you. I have to be a little careful with that, but I can definitely help guide you through some of your ideas, especially if you have questions about the type of supplies or things that you're wanting to purchase. Oh, one other thing though, and let me kind of back up a second. Some of the things that we cannot help you with are product. I did forget to highlight that piece of it. So anything that's product, so we can't purchase items like food items or items that you sell because you need more in your inventory. We can't do that either. So it has to be specifically just equipment that will help you do your plan, basically, with that. It like I said, it's been really amazing to be on this LOAF grant, to really see all the different strategies that people have come up with to just save their businesses. And they're not cost a whole lot, I will say that. On an average, most of the applications coming in are between $2,500 to about $5,000, somewhere around in that area it's been coming in. I will say it's a lot easier if you can keep the purchases under the 5,000, especially when it's for the single item, so you don't have to do the whole state procurement piece. But it depends on what the items are. We're not discouraging that, but just be prepared that it could take an extra time frame for that. Other than that, guys, we are waiting for some funding right now. We did get approved for some more funding, so we're kind of waiting for those green lights to start opening it up again. And right now, I've probably got about another like 15 applications kind of waiting in the pool right now. So we still can be able to accept applications at this point. And just start looking at everybody's plans and to try to help you really stay open and save those jobs in Solano County. Definitely will help a lot. Is there any questions so far that anybody has out there?
All right, everyone. Some really so
Oh,
or add so we can kind of see everybody, or you can add your question to the chat window. As we wait for a few folks to see if there's any questions.
Hey, Friday, this is Leo.
hi.
I didn't see any note in regards to only for profit. I'm imagined then nonprofits can apply either 503 or 506.
Yeah, so nonprofits at this time, we're not able to fund, so no nonprofits at this moment. There
So
are,
just to clarify, only for profit?
It is for a profit at this point. Yeah, it's sole proprietors, the corporations, LLCs, all those type of business structures. So we're not discriminating on that piece of it. All of them could apply. The problem is the nonprofit part of it gets a little sketchy with some of the funding sources that we get. So we have to be very careful with that piece. However, there are some sources out there. I know we've had a couple nonprofits that have come through in the beginning of this, and we were able to kind of redirect them to other sources out there. So if there are some nonprofits out there that are interested, definitely tell them to reach out to me, and I can try to help them navigate that.
Thanks, April. It looks like we have a question in the chat window from Lou. She's asking, how can we apply? So I know that you went through the application. So what can you guide us through maybe the steps of from inception? So does the person first inquire like what needs to go on the application, or just fill out the application and get feedback?
Basically, so the link that you included on the slide here, which is www.solanoemployment.org / layoff aversion fund. That particular link right there takes you right into that webpage that we were talking about. And at the bottom of the page, you'll see a little blue link that just says application. You just need to click into that and open it up and download it and start filling out your application and turning it in. You don't necessarily have to inquire for the application, because what we'll do is we'll end up telling you to go back to that webpage anyways to go pick up the application. So if you kind of have it ready to go and you've got a plan and you want to check it out and see if you can get some grant funding for it, just fill out that application and get it into us right away. Any more questions?
I have a question around the I had a question on the product piece. So for someone who is has a hair salon, for example, and does their material for the hair coloring, is that part of the products that are used? They're not reselling it, but they do sell it as part of their service. How does that, what bucket does that land in for the grant?
So we had, let me just give you an example. If you're actually selling it to the customer to either put the application on themselves, because you're gonna Zoom them and do a whole tutorial with them, and they have to purchase that piece of it, that is considered product. However, if they are, let's say you have the customer purchase hair dye and then you have a kit yourself that you're going to actually apply hair dye to, I don't know, a mannequin or yourself or somebody else or whatever, to show the person how to do it, then that would be something that you are using as an example type kit. So that is okay. But if you're actually selling the product to the person itself, then that would be considered product, unfortunately. Another example though that we had was, I had an esthetician that's going to get some funding from us, and what they were doing was that same example of actually having oh my God, I can't say that word. Sorry. Some of the facial, I'm just going to simplify it, doing a facial, and they needed kits themselves to show how to actually do the facial itself, and those were acceptable, but just not the products that they're selling to the person. Did that answer?
Yeah, that was actually very clear of which examples.
Okay.
Thank you. Do we have other questions? Anyone want to put in the chat or unmute themselves for?
April.
Yes.
I think you mentioned about
I have a
the.
question. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. All right. So I think you mentioned, April, in regards to the purchasing part. Would it be okay that they need some type of receipt, right, in order for them to get funded? So would you recommend the process to be, obviously you already mentioned that obviously they have a good estimate on what they need, how much money they need. But since they will not get funding until they get the receipt, would you get an approval first to make sure, okay, I'm not going, this is approved, so I can go ahead and move forward, even though I don't have the funds yet?
Yes, that's
is there an approval?
Definitely good question. Yeah, you definitely don't want to make any purchases until you actually get the go ahead, and you actually sign the agreement. Once that agreement's signed by both parties, then you're good to go to actually start purchasing. So if you make purchases ahead of time, unfortunately, we won't be able to reimburse you for them because we're not in compliance with the contract agreement dates. So we have to make sure that that is really solid. So one of the things that we've been doing, especially if a business is awarded, I do try to reach out personally and let them know. And I tell them very specifically to not make purchases to anything until the actual agreement is signed, and your business service representative will contact you and you kind of give you the go ahead and you're good to go.
April, this is Brian. Does the reimbursement come in the form of a check, or is it a direct deposit into the business account, or how does that work?
It's actually going to be a check. They'll be processed here on site, and they'll be able to issue them a check immediately, so we can get those checks out in the mail. So that's why we're actually able to shave off some of the time frame, because generally most of our process gets through the county process, and so that can take a lot of time. So it'll be an actual check that comes from us directly. So, and I can make arrangements with the businesses at that point. So once the checks are issued, and I can call the business and let them know it's here. They can even come pick it up if they wanted to and then take it. Otherwise, we'll stick it in the mail and just send it to the business itself.
Hey, April.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Sam. I'm with the restaurant here in Vacaville. Question for you. I'm sorry, your phone keeps cutting on and out, so I apologize ahead of time. You might have already told us this.
That's okay.
Can we purchase new equipment or the equipments we have with the grant, new equipment, or even update the furnitures and all that?
So the biggest thing with this is that certain equipment can be purchased, but again, your plan or your strategy needs to tell me how you're going to save jobs. So I'm just going to give you an example. If you're going to buy, let's say, new furniture, then how is that saving jobs? So you need to tell me how that's going to save a job. So that's kind of the premise of it. So you might want to look at all the type of things in your business that will help generate business, so then you can keep your people employed. So that's kind of the premise of the grant. But equipment can be purchased if it's part of that plan, though.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Do you want to talk about the Otter software application that the SBDC and you guys, your team has been helping restaurants with?
Yes. So SBDC and ourselves are partnering up with this Otter program that is another type of online portal that actually gives access to restaurants to all of the, like, Uber Eats and Postmates and oh God, I don't even have them all. I can't list them all. There's so many of them now that are popping up. But SBDC is definitely paying for the startup costs with getting that piece caught up. And then there is a discounted rate monthly from that. And I believe it's $39.99. It's generally, I think, around $79. So if that is part of something that you're interested, you definitely want to reach out to me through the email, and I can kind of work with you a little bit about getting in touch with Tim with that piece of it. Not everybody that's been turning in applications need that right away. So I've been kind of, when I see a restaurant itself talk about like a POS system or something like that, then we'll try to make a referral to that. So that is another opportunity. If you're not interested in the loaf grant itself, but you're interested in that piece of it, definitely reach out to me and I can try to make a connection with Tim specifically for that application. So it is an online application for people to purchase items through those Uber Eats and Postmates and all that.
Hey, April.
Yeah.
Sam again. Hey, I reached out to Otter last week, and I talked to him actually today. They actually increased the price to $70 a month. It's not $39. And the only thing they're waiving off is $250 startup cost. And they actually give you 3 free months. That's about it.
So
that's what they're willing to do.
Sam, what I would say is, why don't you reach out to me? Just give me an email, okay, and we'll have a phone conversation, because you'll need to talk with the SBDC specifically about this. There is a there's a God, I'm sorry, I'm lost for words at the moment. They have set up some special pricing specifically for the SBDC clients. So please reach out to me, and I'll try to make that connection for you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And for everyone who may not be aware, SBDC is the Small Business Development Center, and they are co-located at 500 Chadbourne in Fairfield. So you can go there and get services.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I have a
And
quick
if
question.
you didn't touch, sorry, go ahead.
Sure, I have a quick question because we were talking about restaurants. I had a chance to visit some of our small restaurant owners a few weeks ago, and they were all really under a lot of duress at that time. So I can only imagine right now. One of them had a very complicated situation where he really actually didn't qualify for the federal programs that were coming out because it was such a brand new business, even though he was an established business, but he had just changed locations and renamed his business. So now he was in a brand new category. So none of the previous 15 years counted, just this new year he was in. So with that in mind, I had a question about if this particular grant requires a minimum of years established, and then, anything to show like how viable it's been. I mean, I don't know if there's any requirements of how long your business has been in Solano County as part of this.
That is a good question. Actually, we kind of kept that out. We've definitely kind of allowed people to apply. We knew businesses were in distress no matter what, all level of business. So we decided to be able to fund business as long as the plan. I can't stress it enough to anybody who's looking to apply for this LOAF grant. You really need to make sure your plans speak to how you're going to save jobs. That is the whole premise of this. So it doesn't matter how long you've been open per se. We've definitely had, like I said, even sole proprietors that saving their own job, but they've had great plans about how they're going to generate money and save their job and their business. So it's really about that. It really doesn't, there's no requirements as far as how many years you've been in business.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Leo, you said something, I'm sorry.
Yes. You did touch base in regards to the staff that you have with you. I noticed you're the only contact you put yourself in there. Do you want to talk a little bit about your staff and where they're located?
Yes. Actually, I think I have a few of my staff members actually on the line here right now. I know Pamela and I saw Erica. So I have a team of 4 business service consultants, and Pamela, who is my support here at the office. Basically, the biz reps itself, they are designated to specific cities within the county here, and they will be working with you actually very closely with this. What they will end up doing is, once I kind of contact the business that they've got the grant, then I introduce them to their actual business service consultant. And what they will do is work with them basically from point A to point B through this process, as well as any type of needs outside of just the grant itself. Typically, the business consultants, they really work with business about talent resources and other resources that wraps around business and, just retention and just keeping people on and maybe helping avert a layoff and those type of pieces. So the relationship that you build with them, is absolutely necessary to, just get all those resources that you need. Even after this COVID goes down, now there's your plan B. You've really got to figure out, how are you going to bring back everybody? Are you going to be able to bring back everybody? And what does that look like? We've been known for many, many years for our career fairs and our recruiting events, but we've got lots of other types of resources available they're not appropriate at this time. Like we do have what's called an on-the-job training opportunity, and they work with them, with businesses with that particular opportunity. Generally, that's to, if you have needs to hire people, which we're kind of not in that mode right now, but you absolutely can get some funding that way to help pay 50% of the training wages during a time. Another type of training that's I've actually touched bases with some of the people that are getting grants is what we call incumbent worker training. And so incumbent worker can also be another opportunity to tap into some funding that if, let's say you're receiving some new machinery and you need to have a training session and you need to bring someone in or someone internal to teach how they're supposed to use this equipment, we can actually pay for that type of cost as well. There's another type of grant funding for that. So the BSCs are short for business service consultants. They are really important people to you because they've got other resources and can tap into things that can really help grow your talent pool or keep your talent pool, as well as guide you through through your grant piece, and just overall just with support and the connection to resources that you might not have normally.
No, and I'd like to add to that. I know April and her team have been doing a wonderful job, with the businesses, but they're also closely coordinating with the SBDC and their advisors. So, if a business is going to reach out to April or one of her business consultants, and they may find that they are better suited for the EIDL loan or the PPP. We know those aren't, really up and running right now, but if it looks like it's a situation there, or they need access to lending or some other kind of situation, her team works seamlessly with the SBDC. So it's a really good partnership for any business, like you said, that needs help now, or when our economies start opening back up and we come out of shelter in place, and how to do that. And there's a lot of helpful tools that they have as well. Leo, I know you're very familiar with the SBDC, but they've also got a lot of webinars they're putting out about how to, move online marketing and things like that.
Some of the other things to speak to what Brian's saying too is, like, right before the COVID lockdown here, we had a whole session that we did for HR pieces. So our HR gal did a whole lovely seminar on, just HR pieces that are like frequently asked questions with HR. So, we can tap into those type of resources to help you with that. The other thing is too, simply your layoffs. If you are laying off, let us know too, because we can actually link your employees into our system on our job seeker side to help them get resources needed to get back to work again. We also have resources here in our one stop for like UI questions. So if you have UI, some of our people in our one stops can, help with that piece of it as well. So we can be able to link you into other pieces.
We're COVID central, basically.
You are right, Brian. We've been open this whole time. We've been open. So we've been able to, we're live voices. Most of the time when I call people back, people are like, I can't even believe you're talking to me right now. Usually it's quiet. So I've been trying, and my team has been amazingly getting out there and just asking questions, trying to help people and just navigate the system. It's kind of a little crazy out there right now. So they're really helping.
Well, I wanted to just take a moment to kind of speak to that and really thank Leo and Alma here and the rest of the chamber for giving us this platform. As April had mentioned, there's been a lot of interest in the community from our low fund, and it's been oversubscribed. We're happy to see that some of the other businesses, maybe to remain nameless right now, some of the larger corporations are donating money into the fund to support those smaller businesses. So this is probably something we want to do again and really have an opportunity to reach more businesses, and so appreciate you guys helping us spread the word.
Thank you guys so much for allowing us to do this. Brian said it all perfectly.
But we are very, very grateful that we have this great collaboration and partnership. And then we hope that we can continue to use this platform to connect community, especially our small business community, to the resources and the experts in the field around those. You had just mentioned that, you know, your team's been really great at answering some of the questions that are coming through. Any top questions or any top tips of advice as people are navigating, like, where do I even start as I'm navigating? How do I even manage what's going on right now in my small business?
I would say that if they go to our main webpage site on www.solanoemployment.org, there is a bar that just says, have you been a business affected by COVID-19? And if you click on that, we have a set of team members here at the agency that's working tirelessly to make sure all that information is up there, is the correct information. It changes on a daily, the stuff that we're getting. So they've been really good about trying to keep up with that. Oh, actually, Leo, if you go down a little bit, you can maybe expose the button there on the screen. Here it is, employers impacted by COVID-19. So if you link into that, you will get information from us, stuff that we're doing, to SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, all the things that they're doing, and just different types of information. We also have UI. You know, we're a partner with UI, which is unemployment. However, we are, and I'm just gonna put this caveat out because we get a lot of people asking us very specific questions about unemployment, and we are not unemployment, so we can't answer like very detailed questions, but we can kind of guide you on where to go and some of the general stuff that's kind of maybe a tip or two, you know, to help you kind of navigate through it. And you'll find all of these things on this webpage, especially for businesses. The one thing about our layoff or rapid response piece that we do is that we have a virtual packet that we can get to you or to your HR departments to make sure that all of your employees are getting the right information and access to resources immediately. I mean, we have things in there that it's not just, you know, our stuff, it's also UI's stuff. It's also Covered California. It's all kinds of things that people don't think about when they're being laid off, you know, because now you don't have benefits and, you know, your families don't have this stuff. So there's a lot of things that are affected by that. So all of those resources can be included, and a lot of this stuff is on this page. And even the business owners itself could also make sure that their employees go to this main web page as well, because there is a part in there that's for a job seeker as well. So, and they can get information too that they might need for UI. And that's been the hot button, definitely. Elma, you were asking for some hot button questions. Unemployment's the hot button for sure. If I put any caveat out there, it's the system keeps crashing. You have to keep going. I know myself personally, my husband, his hours have been reduced, and I have been on UI for 4 hours one day trying to help him input information. And you just have to just keep doing it. So, and it's frustrating, but you know, definitely just have the patience and get there. And then some of the basic questions are on our website itself. So that tends to be a wonderful, like, catch-it-all place to get a lot of information.
Thank you. And Leo, I think we can make sure that we highlight that link specifically in some of our upcoming feeds as we help folks navigate through the site. I just want to say, I know we're about to wrap up here. I just want to say personally, when I was visiting I was just doing small business wellness checks just as part of what our role as a chamber, just to go and share information and inquire how things were going. And at that specific moment, I was looking in the eyes of individuals who had the weight of someone's livelihoods on their shoulders. And I could tell that the level of stress and anxiety and fear was, I mean, it's, and I think all of us on this call probably have navigated through some of those situations. And so I'm so grateful for just this information. I know today's topic is really to try to avert having to lay off, but I'm aware that that may not always be possible. And so how to navigate and support a small business owner when they can't get to that level and have to navigate a different channel. So I love that you have a little bit of everything that you can support with.
Thank you so much for allowing us to do this. Seriously, we're the best unkept secret here in Solano. So definitely come find us, because we've got a lot of great people here who want to help. So definitely come to us.
Definitely. Any last questions from anyone on the call? I do appreciate some of the ones that came through chat and some of the ones that were asked. Anything else? Or any
Hi,
last thoughts?
April. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, April. My name is Lou. I want to thank you first for the Solano Chamber of Commerce for this information. It's really, really been helpful. I think I missed most of the stuff because I walk away. And I heard something about the SBDC. You mentioned the SBDC. And I want to understand what is that? I mean, you were talking, is it another grant or something? Because like Alma was saying, yes, we, the employers, it's been challenging. It's been challenging, so.
Yeah, so the SBDC, I'm sorry, I throw acronyms around like crazy. I know sometimes I need to stop that, but it's so hard to do. It's the Small Business Development Center, and Leo's got it up here on the page. These guys are here. This is another resource that they help businesses succeed. Their main function here is to really help people get information so that they're successful and stay open to, you might need a business plan, or you need capital or marketing plans, things like this, and they can help you with it. But the main part of this, that's the most amazing part, is the fact that it's no cost to you. This is a resource that you do not have to pay for, and there are a lot of professional advisors that will help you. Now, the one thing that works well and why we partner with them is, though, although they do that side of it, the Workforce Development Board does the talent side. We are the experts in that talent. We can help you in all aspects of talent. I mean, down to what your application looks like and how are you promoting your jobs, and how are you finding your talent pool. Sometimes it's your simple job description. So it's a lot. If you arm yourself with the SBDC and the Workforce Development Board Business Services, you really are going to have a great package of resource, and it's no cost. So you can't lose anything with this. It's a great tool.
Yeah, as we
Nothing
like to
to
say,
lose, but everything to gain.
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, April.
these are your tax dollars coming back to work for you.
Lou, what you want to do too is there's a red button up there that says apply now. When you go to the website, the main thing with SBDC is you need to press that button, and you need to fill out the information. To get you to even talk to them, you have to do that. So make sure that you just fill the information out, and a couple of the lovely ladies, it's either Anna or Barbara, will get a hold of you and from the SBDC, and they'll kind of chit chat with you a little bit to kind of see what kind of needs you need. And they'll make sure that you're set up with the appropriate advisor in what area of business your needs are.
Got it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, everyone. Oh, any other? No? Okay. All right, everyone. I just want to let you know that we're at time. Thank you so much, April. We have added your contact information in the chat, but we will include it again in our post for the feed. And thank you, Brian, so much for helping us coordinate today. That was just on time, like this on point. So thank you. And I appreciate everyone for joining us and for contributing to the conversation, and Leo for supporting our tech as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Thank you.